Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Friday, May the 2nd, 2025. And I know I say it most mornings, but what a beautiful day it is here in the Macedon Range. As you can see behind me there, the sun is out. I'm on Honor Avenue. No leaves on the trees anymore, but this is should we call it the famous avenue that thousands of people come to when it's in bloom. It is beautiful, I will say, and it's great to live here. But onto the boxing news. And actually, it was good last night to have Daniel Smart from Max Boxing and Anthony Cox from the Ring Magazine on the show. We went over all three shows this weekend. It's just so good to get people on that really know their stuff. You know, it's one thing to have. It's great to obviously interact with the fans out there and other like-minded people, but when you've got people that they just really know their stuff, like D-Style's another one on his channel as well, and just to hear their input into everything that's going on and maybe some point of views that you mightn't have considered. They point out some stats or whatever it is, but yeah, it was great to have them on, and we'll definitely have them on a little bit more often going forward. Whenever there's big events on, we'll always do Fight Week, and we'll do our best to get them on as often as we can. So thanks to Anthony and Daniel for coming on. On this day, this is probably one of our biggest ones so far, May the 2nd, 2015, the long-awaited fight between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. Who can forget that? It was years in the making. I think it was 2009 was the first time it was sort of talked about. A lot of false starts in the lead up to it. I think that was 2009 when they started negotiations, and it happened in 2015. Goes to show what it took to get this fight across the line. No Turkey LL Sheik back then, of course, so it wasn't as easy just saying, hey boys, here's a check, just write your number on it. There was nothing like that. They had to actually negotiate back then. And when you had Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy were actually representing Floyd Mayweather, and Top Rank was representing Manny Pacquiao. Lots of egos involved in there, lots of agendas, lots of maybe past bad blood between the two firms, lots of things to go through. But the main sticking point was the drug testing. And it all just came down to the length of time between blood tests and the fight from Manny Pacquiao's point of view. Now, there are lots of allegations out there in relation to Manny Pacquiao. I think we've all heard them. Nothing has ever been proven correct. He's always been clean in all the tests that he's done, but he did say that he wasn't a fan of needles, especially drawing blood close to a fight. So it was, I think Floyd Mayweather wanted blood testing all the way up until pretty much the weigh-in, I think it was, or even fight day it might have been, I can't remember, but Manny Pacquiao saying no, he wouldn't do it any less than, I think it was a week, was what they got to. Initially, I think it might have been a couple of weeks, then it was a week, and that was a sticking point. Both parties took great delight at the time. I still remember it. No, the fight's off, we're not budging, and then then it would look like we were close, and then the other side would say, no, we're not budging, and then it'd be off again. And on and off it went for 6 years. And in that time, both fighters probably had, Manny Pacquiao especially would have had probably 6 or 7 fights in that time. Mayweather probably only 3 or 4, but we finally got it on in 2015. I think from all accounts, if you can remember, I think they met at the basketball game. And I can't remember the exact sort of terms or whatever they spoke about, but I think it come along. I think it might have been Floyd Mayweather actually at the basketball saying, "Look, enough of this shit. Let's meet. We're all here." They might have been in Miami or somewhere, and they met down there. And I think they went to a hotel room and apparently sat down and had a talk about it and sorted it out with whoever was there with the teams. But anyway, the fight was signed, sealed, and delivered. And we got it on May 2nd, 2015. I still remember we were in Vegas. I think I've just spoken about this recently because we're over there with the Maloney twins for a training camp. And we were there, and the place was just absolutely buzzing. From the wild card leading into the fight, there are hundreds of people there every single day. It was just absolutely pandemonium. This is wild card I'm talking about. At the gym and in Vegas, the whole place, it was just, it was Mayweather Pacquiao sort of mania over there. And And let's just say the fight didn't measure up, did it? Tickets were out of control. You had no hope of getting a ticket, even if you probably could afford one. There was no hope of getting in. They were sold out lightning quick. They had it at the MGM Grand these days. Well, I was going to say they probably have it at T-Mobile, which gets about 20,000 in there, but I've got a feeling they would have had it at Allegiant Stadium, where I'm pretty sure they get 50 or 60,000 in there, maybe even more. So that would have probably been the location. Or I know at the time they were also talking about Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas, in Dallas. So yeah, so all those places were talked about, but ended up being at the MGM Grand. And yeah, let's just say the fight ended up being a bit of a fizzer. Manny, he just couldn't get off, could he? Floyd, he just countered him all night long, frustrated him with his movement. And I think, and me included, I thought that Manny would really give Mayweather problems. I thought the reason I thought he would give Mayweather all sorts of issues was because of his style. Mayweather, he would like the guys to come to him, and he would stop and set and counter, and he'd spin off to the side, and he would just counter them all night. Whereas as far as Pacquiao, I thought that his in and out sort of rat-a-tat style might really offset Mayweather's rhythm, and maybe, as I said, cause him some problems. But it wasn't the case. Mayweather, I think that night proved just how great a fighter he is, or was, by just making the fight just look easy. Everything that Manny did that had been successful against some other great fighters out there, he'd fought a lot of them, and nothing that he did was effective against Floyd Mayweather that night, who just had his way. And I thought he won minimum 8 rounds, if not 9. Manny had some success early. I think there was one point in the early rounds where he pinned Floyd on the ropes and got the crowd up and about. But really after that, like Floyd had done so many times, he adjusted and really made Manny look sort of amateurish sometimes with his counters. And I know afterwards Manny did say he had the issues with the shoulder. Yeah, I don't sort of buy that. I'm sure it wouldn't have been an issue if he had a 1. I just think on the night, Floyd just made it, again, as I said, made it look very, very easy, and it was a big letdown for everyone. Now, I don't know what people expected, by the way. I wasn't let down at all. I was disappointed in Manny's performance, but I wasn't disappointed in the fight. I thought it was a highly skilled fight between two great fighters, Hall of Fame fighters. I don't know what if people just expected Hagler Hearns from the get-go. I mean, both of these fighters, especially Floyd, just don't fight that way. So yeah, I actually thought it was a good fight without being great. I think it's about as good as we could probably expect. But again, as I said, I was more disappointed in Manny's performance. There wasn't really any adjustments made in the fight, and I know Freddie Roach copped some criticism as well. There was no plan B, there was no changing things up. But this was Floyd Mayweather we're talking about. This is not just any fighter. This is one of the greatest fighters of all time, one of the smartest fighters of all time, the highest IQs of all time. It's not that easy just to click your fingers and switch it up mid-fight against Floyd Mayweather, because he'll just switch it up back and go back to what he was doing. So that was on this day, May 2nd, 2015, and it was and still is the highest grossing fight of all time, the most pay-per-view buys of all time, 4.6 million. Now, just to put it in perspective, like just a Mayweather or a Canelo or a Pacquiao against, a Cotto or a Hatton or, one of these type of fighters, a big fight but not a super fight, would draw probably between 1 and 1.5. This got 4.6 million. Now, I think Floyd against Conor might be number 2. And at the time, they went past Canelo and Mayweather. Mayweather and Canelo, which was in 2013. So, like, love him or hate him, Floyd Mayweather has just been the king of pay-per-view over the years, and I don't, but a lot of people say he's dull and doesn't fight, doesn't engage. He runs, but hey, he puts bums on seats, and he most certainly puts eyeballs on his event because he's got out of the probably top 5, he's probably got 4 of the biggest pay-per-view events of all time. So hats off to Mayweather and also Pacquiao, who on this day duked it out at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. All right, some other news that's happening at the moment. And overnight we had, well, not overnight, I think it was yesterday afternoon or something, the George Kambosos and Richardson Hitchens fight was made official. It is going to be June 14th at the Madison Square Garden Theatre. So not in the big room, it's in the small room. Doesn't matter, it's still Madison Square Garden in New York, and geez, it'd be great to be able to get there. You know, both guys have spoken about it. I saw some interviews with George yesterday and his dad, and great opportunity for George. And look, he perplexes a lot of people, George, but I don't know how you can fault the guy as far as his sort of place in boxing at the moment. Yeah, okay, you can say what you will about him as far as his personality and his character, whatever it might be. I don't. I've met the guy a couple of times. He's a fantastic guy to talk to. Very, very good with his time and polite and respectful, and surprisingly for me anyway, because I thought he was the opposite before I met him, but a really nice guy to talk to, and as I said, very respectful to fans and everyone. Different story if you're in the other corner of the ring against him, I'm sure. But as I said, love him or hate him, this guy is just up for any fight out there. And the fact he's taken on Hitchens for that IBF 140-pound title, look, you've got to take these opportunities when they arise. Now, is Hitchens right for him style-wise? I don't think so. But geez, you've got to put yourself in these positions, don't you, to win these big fights. And the fact that he's just had one big fight after another in the last 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it's been, is a credit to him. And there's not many fighters like him out there anymore who just says, hey, just give me whoever's the best is. Tim Tszyu's similar, you know, in the Australian side of things, but as I said, very rare to get someone who just says, just bring them on. I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, overseas, Australia, wherever it is, and you've got to admire that. So I would love to be able to get there. I was hoping that it would be June 14th, because I've mentioned on here before that on the 8th of June, so the weekend before, in Canastota, New York, so upstate New York, at the Hall of Fame, Manny Pacquiao and Vinny Pazienza will be inducted up there. So I'll see how we go. I've got a bit on at the moment. But it would be great to sort of get there and go to the Hall of Fame and then to George's fight a week after in New York. Airfares aren't overly cheap at the moment, I've got to say, especially to New York, but we'll see how we go. I'll see if they can twist my arm, but we'll obviously cover that more in the lead up to it. Another fight that has been announced is Naoya Inoue and I've written his name down here, by the way, that's why I'm looking at my phone so I can get it right. Murodjon Akhmadaliev. Now, we all call him MJ. So that fight is going to be September the 14th in Tokyo, Japan. So Naoya Inoue hasn't even gotten past Cardenas yet, and he's already signed to fight MJ, which should be a ripper fight. MJ, of course, you can remember back, what was it, 23, 22, 23? I think it was 23, when he was beaten in a very, very close fight by Marlon Tapales for, I think it was the WBA and IBF 122-pound titles, and Tapales then went on to fight Inoue and got absolutely destroyed. But Murodjon, we always talk about styles, and I think MJ's got the style to maybe trouble Inoue to some extent. I still don't think he will have enough to beat Naoya Inoue though. So, but credit to Naoya, he just continues to rack them up. And look, a lot of people say he doesn't. He doesn't fight the big fights. Well, who else is he supposed to fight? I know Nakatani's next year, and maybe Bam Rodriguez, and a move up to featherweight. But I mean, as the champion, you get mandated to fight the highest ranked contenders, and that's what he continues to do. So I don't understand some of the criticism that comes his way about his choice of opponents, because as the champion, the fact that he's been able to hang on to those 122-pound titles for what, at least, is it a year or two so far? That almost deserves recognition in itself, because Crawford couldn't keep the belts at 147, Canelo couldn't keep them at 168. Who else is there? Usyk at heavyweight. None of those guys could hang on to the belts, I think, for even one defence, or maybe Canelo did, but it wasn't long anyway. And the fact that Naoya Inoue is continuing to keep all the sanctioning bodies happy while fighting these guys is a credit to him. I mean, it helps when you fight 3 or 4 times a year though, doesn't it? Which he does. And again, that is a credit to him as well. So yeah, I'm not going to cop any criticism about Naoya Inoue. It's not his fault that he wins these fights so easy. I mean, he's good and potentially great. So yeah, I don't understand the flack against Naoya Inoue, and the September 14th in Tokyo should be a big fight. Fight that that may be happening next year, which probably looks obvious now, is the Canelo Alvarez and Chris Eubank Jr. fight. Canelo has actually spoken for the first time about that fight. I know he's got a big one this weekend, and Chris Eubanks is coming off his fight last weekend. Come here, man. I'll get you there. But he has said that he is more than open to fighting Chris Eubank Jr. in London at Wembley Stadium next year. What an event that would be. He said he wants to do a little bit of a mini world tour. He's in Saudi Arabia, of course, this week, but and then Las Vegas at the end of the year. But he said he'd love to fight in London next year. And he also said he'd like to fight in Japan. I'm not quite sure who he would fight in Japan, but I'm sure the Japanese fans over there, just like Tyson did back in the day against Douglas, would love to have one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world fight over there against whoever. I don't think they'd care. I really don't. I think just the fact they'd have him there. I think he did say he'd actually like the fight at Tokyo Dome, where the Douglas and Tyson fight actually took place. So you never know. But I think that Eubank and Canelo fight will happen next year. The big question is, of course, though, is will Eubank Jr. fight Ben first? I think he will. From what I've sort of read in the last few days, that from all parties, that fight's going to happen. And then Eubank, all of a sudden, he earned 10 million on the weekend. He's probably going to earn another 10, maybe even more in the Eubank Jr. rematch. And then he might earn 15 or 20 against Canelo. So all of a sudden, the guy that looked like he was almost on the scrap heap, didn't he, when he lost to Liam Smith, has rebounded, and he's going to make, up to sort of $30-35 million potentially over 3 fights. So massive comeback for Chris Eubank Jr. and a credit to him. I've never been a big fan, but I will take my hat off to him that he's rebuilt his career, got it back on track, and in line for those massive fights. Now this is one that I saw yesterday, and I really liked it actually. It was a post by Danny Green, and he put up a thing on or a post on Instagram. And it was in sort of a response to the Eubank and Conor Benn fight on the weekend. He put up a photo of his son Archie and a photo of Anthony Mundine's son. Now, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. I didn't look that up. I think he's got a couple of sons, but it looks like there's a fair bit of gap in the age and weight. But I think Danny was sort of putting it out there that, hey, Australia, could this be our version of Eubank and Ben? Mundine Jr. versus Green Jr. I think the only thing, it would be great, wouldn't it? It'd be full of theatre and probably just as entertaining as the build up to Ben and Eubank. Could you imagine Mundine and Green Senior? We'd probably have to hold them back, and they might even fight on the undercard in the main support. Green Mundine 3 and then 4 after that. But it's good to put it out there. I think it's pretty romantic for the Aussie boxing fans that could happen. But as I said, there's a fair bit of difference in weight and age at the moment. But how good would it be? I have seen a bit of young Archie on the bags and that on Danny's Instagram, and he does put them together like his old man, and you can see that he's got the determination there, and he wants to have a crack. It looks like it's not like a matter of him just, all right, Dad, I'll put the gloves on and have a hit of the bags. No, he looks like he's actually in full training, ready to go. So I'm sure lots of doors will open for him going forward, and there'll probably be a few promoters that are maybe making some inquiries into the Green Machine 2 going forward. We've had Team Zoo 2. Could we have Green Machine 2? We'll see. But all the best, all concerned anyway. It would be great. And we might be a few years away yet, but it's something to look forward to anyway. Right now, another thing to look forward to is the Olympic Games in 2028. Now, of course, boxing is officially locked in for the 28 Games in Los Angeles, but the interesting thing is the weight classes that have been announced. I've got them here, and thanks to, I think it was Eminem that sent it to me yesterday. I appreciate that, mate. He sent it to me yesterday. The weight classes for the Olympic Games, and it's especially for the men. It is very, different to what it has been in the past. There's only, 7 weight divisions. So they've gone away from the traditional weights. Now, the ones I've got here, there's only, as I said, 7 weight divisions for men and women. But for the men, it actually starts at 55 kilos. So it doesn't look like there's any flyweights or light flyweights. It's 55 kilos. Then they go up to 60 kilos. So they've skipped sort of featherweight and gone straight to lightweight. 65. So they've sort of a bit of a hybrid between the light welterweight and welterweight division. So yeah, 65, then they go to 70, then they go to 80, then they go to 90. So 10 kilogram differences in all those weight. Now I fought at 67 and battled a little bit to make 67. So I would have been screwed. I would have been fighting at 70 kilos and probably fighting guys coming down from about 78 to 80. So I might have been in a bit of trouble if I was still at the games, because I was a small 67. So imagine what I would have been at 70. But yeah, so again, 55, 60, 65, 70, 80, 90, and 90 kilogram plus. Then for the women, these are the more traditional weight divisions here, but I like the fact they've stopped at 75. So they start at 51, then they go to 54, 57, 60, 65, 70, and then 75, which I think they should have probably done for the men. I think that's probably better even for the men. But anyway, they've obviously put some thought into it and just worked out what is best for both genders. But either way, look, it doesn't matter. Boxers will adjust. And the fact that it's at the Olympic Games is probably a big plus, and boxers will make the necessary changes to the divisions. And I suppose what they'll start doing now is with the all the tournaments leading up to 2028, which is what, 3 years away, that they will start having all the world championships and all that sort of stuff at these weights. Now, who knows? Maybe what they might even do is use these weights going forward as the official weights. Who knows? They've done it before. Because as I said, when I was fighting, I was 67. That actually went to 69 at some stage along the journey, and all the other weight divisions sort of changed as well. So anyway, I'm sure they'll sort it all out, and might be better too, especially when they've got to have men and women on different days, and there's only so many officials and everything to go around. So anyway, as I said, just good news that it's at the Olympics anyway. So guys, look, that is going to do it for today. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other stuff to cover over the next couple of days with the big fight cards in Saudi, New York, and Las Vegas. Just on that too, by the way, in New York, all fighters made the weight comfortably. There was no dramas at the weigh-in. There was sort of a little bit of drama at the press conference yesterday, but nothing to get too excited about. But yeah, all fighters made weight. So looking forward to watching that tomorrow morning, Canelo on Sunday morning, and then might just wait for the replay of the Inoue fight on Monday. It's on Monday morning at 8 a.m, but they want $50 to watch it, so not going to happen. I'll wait to see the replay on YouTube later. Can you believe that main event want $50 to watch? They were, in a way, destroy Raymond Cardenas. But anyway, we'll talk about those fights over the next few days anyway. But guys, have a great Friday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.